Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the Trijicon SRO. Let's get right into the first 30-second breakdown. That's where in the first 30 seconds, give or take, I give you guys my exact thoughts on this product before we get into the full review. That way you guys can either just stop watching because now you know exactly what I think about it, or you guys can continue watching, find out why I say those things, and it does help with the YouTube analytics, so I do appreciate it. I've had this optic for a while, with and without the Jaegerworks Bros shroud on it, and I've had zero issues with it. I really like this optic. I think it is a no-brainer and a must-go for those that do competition shooting or hunting because of the size of the glass and the field of view. I think it's just one of the best options out there. Now, for duty use, I would probably not recommend this, and I probably wouldn't use it without the shroud. And if I had the shroud, I would most likely probably use it because of the benefits of the size, but the durability worries me just a little bit just because of the shape of the housing being circular. It's not nearly as durable as the RMR. So if I was going to do something for duty, it would probably be the RMR. Unless I had the shroud, then I would probably use this as well just because of the benefits of it. So pricing's a little high up there in the 500s, but it's a Trijicon, and Trijicon does have nice and expensive optics. So it carries over that name. It is a Trijicon optic, and it is a very good optic, and I've had zero issues. It's 2.5 MOA, and I like it a ton. This is my primary gun that I use. I also conceal carry this sometimes, not often, but it happens. So I do trust this setup with my life. Now let's get into my relationship with Trijicon. They did send this to me. I did not spend my own money on it. I have bought Trijicon optics in the past, but this one in particular, I did not buy. With that being said, let's get right into the full review. This is a 2.5 MOA, and the biggest thing that I love about this is the field of view. It is massive. The glass on this is awesome compared to a lot of the other optics on the market, and it's got its pros and cons because of that. The biggest pro of it is because you can see everything, target acquisition, follow-ups. Finding that dot after your shoot is really easy with this. The downfalls are the integrity of it is lost a little bit because of the design and shape, and that's where I said that I would highly recommend this for competition, hunting, the things that you, for some reason you broke it, it wasn't life or death. You can just either get a new one, replace it, put something else on, get a different gun, not a big deal. But when it comes to duty use or concealed carry, it would worry me a little bit more because I know if something happened, you dropped it, hit it against something, I could see this cracking. I personally have had zero issues with it. I've had it with the shroud and without the shroud. I had it without the shroud for a while, probably 3 or 4 months, and then I got the shroud over it. And I've done a lot of testing with it, seeing if the durability is there, racking it against different things, and trying to see if you could cause any issues with the shroud. I haven't had no problems with it. So I definitely trust it with this protective covering from Jaegerworks. There's not a whole lot to say about the internals, the device itself, because this is a lot like your RMR. There's really not a whole lot differences other than that housing and the shape and design of it. Other than that, the mechanics and everything inside are going to be the same. So all the durability that you get from Trijicon that you trust with that company, you're going to carry over with the SRO. So not really a ton to say there just because they've been around for a really long time. They're trusted by law enforcement, civilians, military, and they really don't have too many issues. Now, an issue that some people have when they're transitioning from iron sights to red dots is finding the dot. The hardest part is actually realizing that you got to bring your gun down a little bit lower, a little bit higher than what you're used to, because you're finding a dot opposed to lining up your sights, which are always there. So finding that dot's always a little bit difficult, and with follow-up shots, trying to bring that dot back down. With the SRO, it's a lot easier just because of the size. When it's rounded, the dot almost doesn't leave the optic, I've noticed. When I'm shooting, I can always see that dot. That also comes with recoil management and things like that. So newer shooters might still have the issue, but for me, I've noticed that I keep that dot inside the glass opposed to other optics like the 508T from Holosun. Sometimes that dot will jump out of the glass itself, and then I have to bring it down and find it again. With this, I don't have that problem nearly as much. A couple things to mention that I like about the SRO is the top mounted battery compartment. That way you can replace your battery in and out without having to remove the optic itself like the RMR, which saves you from having to re-zero the optic when replacing the battery. There is a 3-year battery life when it's on setting 4 of 8, and 2 of those settings are night vision, so it's just nice to have that option to be able to do night vision for those of you that do that. When it comes to MOA sizes of the dot itself, it's not really something I used to ever think about before when I first got into guns. I was like, okay, 6, 3, 1, what's the difference? Does it really matter? It does matter. The 2.5 is a really, really nice dot size. It's probably one of my favorite personally that I've shot. I've shot 6, I've shot 3, I've shot 1, and the 2.5 is probably the one that I think has the best of both worlds. I can dim it down and shoot those 75 to 100 yard shots a lot more accurate, or I can bring it up in brightness and have it a little bit larger for the closer shots. Me personally, I usually keep it around the 5 to 6 setting, depending on what I'm doing, where I'm at, and what type of lighting I'm shooting in. If I'm doing more precision stuff, just bring it down a little bit. If not, I'll just bring it back up. So I think the 2.5, in my opinion, is really good at having the line of best of both worlds, just because of it can get really small, but it also has a good sized dot if you want to bring it back up. Now for the cons. The one thing I've been talking about pretty much this whole time is the durability is just not quite there. But as long as you know that going into it, it's not going to be a problem for you. As long as you know what you're going to be putting this on, and if you take the measures to get something to protect it, you're not going to have that issue. But it's something that I'm going to put in the cons, is the durability isn't quite there. And I think if this wasn't Trijicon's, it wouldn't be quite as big of a deal. But I think what the problem was is everybody was so set on the RMR and how durable it is. When this came out, they kind of thought, okay, it's going to have the same durability, and it didn't, and it kind of shocked people, and that's kind of where maybe it got its name. I don't think it's really that undurable of an optic. Like I said, I've had it for a while, and I'm not super nice to my guns or optics. I try to actually do real-world testing to them. I don't want to baby this stuff, and I didn't have any issue. I never dropped it or anything or did drop testing, but I don't think it's quite as not durable as people say it is. I think just that shock from going from the RMR to this, maybe some people gave it a bad name, but it definitely is not nearly as durable as the RMR. So gonna put that as a con. The durability isn't quite where I'd want it for a duty style optic. Another downfall is going to be the price. It's mid $500 if you can find them in stock. Right now it's really difficult to find anything, but the price is pretty high. So if you're getting something like this, you definitely want to dedicate a gun to it, get the slide milled and everything, or like I said before in the past, CHPWS plates is what I use for these, but it is a chunk of cash, so that is definitely going to be in the downfalls. Now, a couple things just to mention that aren't downfalls, just things I want to say, so when you get something like this, you're looking into that and it's kind of in the back of your mind. This optic sits a lot more forward than other optics because of its design. Most optics end right here where your slide cut would be. This one protrudes forward a little bit, and that's not because of the shroud, because the shroud just barely sticks out further than that. The optic itself does stick out further. Now, a couple things to think about is one, holsters. Some holsters might not fit this. You might have to either cut them out or get a specific holster for the SRO. So if you have one for the RMR or something else, it might not fit. I personally have had no issues with holsters. I've ran multiple different ones, Tier 1 concealed, T-Rex arms, Kerber, and I've had no issues with those holsters in particular, but I just want to mention there are some holsters out there, so make sure you do a little bit of research before you purchase this and a holster for it. Another thing is the fact that it sticks out a little bit. You're going to get your brass hitting it a little bit more. You might get a little bit more carbon buildup. It might just be a little bit dirtier just because it's that much closer to the chamber. So something to think about there. Just two little things I wanted to mention. They're not pros, they're not cons, just two things I wanted to touch on. With all that being said, would I recommend and spend my own money on the SRO? Now that answer is situational based. If you do not plan on getting a shroud for this and you are going to be using this for patrol or duty use, then I would say no, I would not recommend this just because a little bit of the worry of the durability side. Now, if you plan on getting a shroud or you're using this for hunting, competition, or any other style of shooting other than duty use, I would say absolutely. I would buy this and use this and recommend it for sure. Really good optic. It's got a lot of good benefits. Field of view is fantastic, and it's just a really, really solid, good looking optic. So definitely would recommend it and would spend my own money on it as long as it meets those requirements. So just know what role this optic is going to play and make your decision based off of that. So if you guys want to help out the channel and the things that I do here, there are a couple ways to do that. Down in the description, there are some discount codes from companies that I trust. Any of those codes that you use gives me a small kickback and gives you guys a really nice discount, which helps out the channel and helps you guys out as well. So it's kind of a win-win, and helps me build a forward ammo, all the things that I do here, all the products that I test, and it helps get the quality of my content a little bit better. So I really appreciate if you do that, because it is really difficult to get out and shoot because of the ammo prices and the unavailability of everything. Another way, there's a link to my website. Anything you use on those links, there's links from like Brownells, Air Precision, Premier Body Armor, anything you purchase using those links gives me a small kickback as well and shows those companies that I'm generating traffic, which is always a really good thing and helps out the channel. So those things really help me out and I greatly appreciate them. YouTube has been killing my monetization lately, so all of that tiny amount of money that I was getting through them, which was helping out with some of the ammo, has been going away. So really helps that you guys do those things. So school is finally over. I've got a lot more time to basically go out, do things, film, get content, spend time with my family, which was something I unfortunately wasn't able to do a ton while I was in school, because I'd wake up to go to work at 5 in the morning and then I would get home from school around 10:30, 11. So I really didn't see my family because I would go to work before they woke up and I would come home when they were all asleep. So it was really tough. It was about 9 months of doing that, and then on the weekends we still had Saturday school. So if I worked that weekend, I would work day shift on Friday, and then I would wake up for school on Saturday at 7 in the morning. I would be there till 5, and then I would go back to work from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. on Sunday. So I'd be up for about 25, 26 hours, and then I would go to bed for a couple hours because it was really hard to actually sleep because I'm used to the day shift schedule. And then I would wake back up and go back to night shift and work another 12 hours and then switch it back up to day shift and go back to my normal Monday through Friday school routine. So it was a really, really long tiring 9 months. Looking back at it, I'm like, wow, I would never do that again. But I'm glad I did it. Definitely helped me in my career moving forward and doing new things, and I'm really excited about it. But I really didn't talk about my schedule too much because I didn't really want people to know my schedule, but that was the reason my content had slowed down quite a bit. So for those of you that questioned why things were slowing down a little bit, or it was a little bit harder for me to get new content out, that would be why. But definitely gonna be chugging back along because everything is opened back up. I will be getting my new schedule here shortly, and content will be flowing normally, hopefully, and hopefully things settle down here in the world because it's all crazy. A company that helps me out a ton and supports me is Howitzer. Absolutely love these guys and love their clothing. They donate 5% of proceeds to charity. These guys are awesome. Love their clothing and designs. And if you guys want to check them out, there's a link in the description. Another company that helps me a ton is TA Targets. They are the targets that fill my range and help me do what I do and train and work and be able to actually get all these videos out. It's really helpful to have steel targets. Paper is fantastic. I love training on paper. It really keeps you accountable, but steel targets adds a completely different element that allows you to train at a different level. So it is really cool, and I appreciate them so much. Discount code for them is Tactical Advisor. Will save you 10% off anything from their website. So if you guys are interested in the SRO, go pick one up for yourself. Let me know what you think. If you already have one, let me know in the comments. And I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.